My sister-in-law keeps finding ways to make my big moments about her. What she did at my baby shower felt like the last straw. I, 32F, really need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm constantly questioning my own sanity. My husband, Mark, 33M, is truly a wonderful guy, and we're expecting our first baby, a girl, in a couple of months. It should be such a happy time, but his sister, Chloe, 30F, has this way of, well, making things difficult. It's like a pattern. Whenever there's an event that's important to me or us, something happens with Chloe that shifts the focus or just casts a shadow. It's always framed as an accident, or her being forgetful or clumsy, and if I ever seem upset, I'm made to feel like I'm being overly sensitive. Mark tends to give her the benefit of the doubt, saying she's just a bit ditzy or doesn't mean any harm. And I've tried, I really have, to believe that. For example, at our engagement party, she tripped and spilled a dark drink all over the light-colored dress I was wearing. Lots of apologies, of course. For my bachelorette, which my friends planned, she mixed up the dates and booked her travel for the wrong day, causing a lot of stress and last-minute changes to accommodate her. She was mortified about it. At our wedding, she was a bridesmaid, and right before the ceremony, there was a huge drama because she realized she'd forgotten a crucial piece of her outfit, like specific jewelry that was part of the bridesmaid look, leading to a frantic search and delaying things. I've always tried to just smooth it over, say it's okay. Mark usually does too. But my baby shower last weekend just felt different. My best friend, Jess, and my mom hosted it, and it was supposed to be a really lovely, relaxed afternoon with close friends and family. I was actually enjoying myself. Chloe arrived a bit late, apologizing about getting lost, even though she knows the area. Then, while we were all chatting and I was opening some gifts, she started telling this long, very detailed, and quite harrowing story about a friend of a friend who had a really traumatic birth experience recently. She didn't just mention it briefly, she went into graphic detail. The kind of details no pregnant woman, especially a first-time mom a few weeks from her due date, wants to hear. She talked about complications, emergency interventions, the baby's distress, the whole 9 yards. She told it with this air of, oh, it was just so awful, I can't stop thinking about it, but she was looking right at me for a good part of it. The mood in the room just plummeted. You could feel the discomfort. A couple of my friends tried to gently change the subject, but Chloe just kept going, almost like she didn't notice, or didn't care, that she was making everyone, especially me, incredibly anxious. I felt my heart start to race, and I could barely concentrate on anything else. Jess eventually had to very firmly interrupt her and steer the conversation elsewhere. Later, when Chloe was apologizing to me privately for maybe oversharing, she said, oh, I just thought, it's good to be prepared for anything. I didn't mean to scare you. But her eyes had that same flicker I've seen before, like she knew exactly what she was doing. When Mark and I talked about it later, he initially said, well, maybe she was just trying to be helpful in her own way? You know Chloe, she doesn't always think things through. And that's when I just felt so defeated. I asked him, Mark, how is telling a pregnant woman terrifying birth stories at her own baby shower helpful? How is that anything but incredibly insensitive and thoughtless, at best? He did concede it was bad timing and poorly judged, but I still don't think he fully gets the pattern of her behavior. It's not one big, obvious thing. It's this constant drip, drip, drip of accidents and thoughtless comments that always seem to happen when I'm supposed to be happy or celebrating something. The story at the shower wasn't as overtly sabotage-y as a wrongly named blanket, but it was just as effective at ruining the moment and planting a seed of fear and anxiety right when I'm at my most vulnerable. I'm just so tired of it. I'm tired of having to brace myself for what she might do next. I haven't said anything more to Chloe, but I can't just keep pretending this is normal or acceptable. I don't want this kind of energy around me or my baby. It's not about wanting a fight, it's about wanting some peace and respect, especially now. This latest incident has really made me feel like I need to draw a line. Leaving band was the best decision I made, but my director won't let it go. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to anyone about this apart from my mom, who seemed to brush it off, but it's been weighing on my mind for days. A little bit of context, I'm a 16-year-old girl in high school who was part of her high school band. Cool, right? No. I had an epiphany this year during a performance outside of school that I worked really hard for during the fall semester. It was funny because as I looked at all the students playing alongside me with their giddy attitudes, I suddenly realized I truly hate this. And no, I'm not someone who hates people having joy, I simply didn't like the environment. I was in a place full of passionate band students. I felt like an imposter almost. Mind you, I've had several moments like this in my own school band, when I had felt like I wasn't really a part of the group. During many of our marching band competitions, I would constantly be staring at my phone, silently praying for time to exhaust so I could go home. Meanwhile, everyone else seems like they're having so much fun and making great memories. I remember at one of our marching showcase the one would decide if we would make state or not. We placed 15th out of like 20 bands, which is a terrible score. I mean, if you were to make state, you would have had to be top 3 at least. The point is, I saw many of my bandmates sobbing, genuinely devastated, and me? I was just thinking, yes. The season is over. No more marching band. On the bus back home, everyone was quiet and I could still hear some faint sobs from seniors and whatnot. That's when it hit me again. I truly hate this. I don't belong here. Fast forward to the spring semester, I have made up my mind. I was quitting band. Once I had made this decision, it felt like everything in my life now made sense. I had this sort of mental clarity that I hadn't experienced in my life ever before. It felt really good. However, I still kept going about my similar band routine. I show up an hour early for rehearsal for individual practice time. I attended rehearsals, concerts, and whatever. Maybe this was part of the reason my band directors didn't expect to see that band wasn't on my schedule for the next school year. Usually, kids that are going to quit start slacking a bit. They stop showing up as much and stop trying as hard as they used to. What's the point, they would say. That wasn't me though. It had never been me. About a month ago, one of my band director, nice one, called me into his office to discuss why I was quitting the band. I lied to him and told him that I was quitting because of the band costs and all the time that went into it. If you remember the band comps I was talking about, those things take about a minimum of 12 hours. Usually I leave for school on a start day at 6 a.m. and come back at around 1 a.m. if I'm lucky. And this is all separater from the before-school rehearsals from Monday to Friday, as well as the after-school ones anyways. He had tried to convince me by saying that they were scholarship opportunities to cover the current costs of band and that he would talk to my parents about the time and everything, but I stood firm and told him that my decision was final. Though that would be the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. About a week later, the other weasel of a band director ambushed me while I was practicing before school and started harping about how I was throwing away thousands of dollars worth of scholarship. Basically saying I was making a grave decision that would ruin my entire future. I stared at the wall the entire time he was talking. Not a single word did I exchange with him. He repeated this about a week later. Then finally, they both called me into their office to ask why I was quitting again. By then, I had dropped the cost and time bluff and just admitted I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't feel like I'm growing being a part of this group. Then the weasel of a band director actually had the audacity to say that's not a good enough reason. I feel like this is just a teenage rebellion phase thing. After that, they both exchanged their scholarship talk and I dismissed myself out of their office. I simply gestured to the door and said I would like to go back to rehearsal. Go me. Last week, I received a text message from one of my seniors in band that read you're quitting? And I replied, yes, how did you know? I was shocked at her message because the only people that knew I was quitting were my family and my band directors. She texted back that she had found out from that weasel. Oh, the nerve. She texted that he said someone from the Wind Symphony Band, this would be like the varsity team, was cutting and she had simply just asked who it was, and that was how she found out it was me. She obviously downplayed what he had actually done. During that same week, while I was in my chemistry class, I said hi to one of the trumpets in that director's band. He said hi back then asked, are you okay? I was a bit perplexed by this question and responded why. Then he went on to tell me that he heard I was quitting. Then I nodded I am. Who told you? He then revealed that it was that weasel. One of his friends also then, he told everyone during rehearsals that you were quitting because you didn't have friends. I was mortified and didn't even know what to say, so I just replied if that's what he thinks, let him think that. I was so embraced that he would say that to not to one but 30 of the students in his band. He might as well told the whole band of about 100 students. Just last Friday, I had another encounter with a phrasman in his band that I had never spoken to in my entire life. He waved a hi at me. I said hi back, but I knew that he had said that because of the she doesn't have friends thing. It angered me so much. It's like the entirety of his band now sees me as this loner, which I don't have a problem with. But it's so unfair how my business was broadcasted to everyone. I mean, what was the point of calling me into your office? You might as well have discussed the matter in front of everybody. So was this wrong of him or am I just overreacting? I'm terminating my parental rights tomorrow. I, 25F, have a 6-year-old daughter with my ex, 28M. He was my best friend's older brother. I had a crush on him. He came home after he graduated from college and was single. We started dating. I knew we were meant to be together forever, and I knew I didn't want a family with anyone other than him. Everyone thought we were so cute because they all knew I had a crush on him. I thought he was happy. I was wrong. About a year into our relationship, I got pregnant. I wasn't on birth control and just wanted nature to take its course. It was then that it started becoming clearer that he didn't really intend to be with me. I wanted to get married. I was having his baby, so I thought it was time to become a family. He didn't want to marry me. He said he really didn't see us being together long term, but that he would always take care of our kid. I was upset, and if I wasn't already halfway through the pregnancy, I'd have aborted. My parents were upset and said they should have custody if he wasn't going to marry me. I thought that would get him to do the right thing and marry me, but it didn't, and he got a lawyer and got a restraining order against my parents when they said they should be the ones to raise my baby. I wanted my baby to grow up with two parents in healthy marriage. But my parents couldn't go anywhere nearby the baby, and he's kept them away from them. I really hoped he changed his mind after she was born. Because of the restraining order, I had no choice but to live with him. I lived in the upstairs and he lived downstairs in the basement. He would only talk to me if it was about our daughter. He told me he wanted us to continue living like this until she started school. After that, he said I'd need to find my own place to live at when it wasn't my week. He wanted her to live at the house and us to switch off time with her. He started seeing other people. He's now trying to get back with the girl he dated in high school. They were the homecoming king and queen. That perfect couple. They have the perfect jobs. While I'm just the trashy ex who works at Safeway. He and our daughter are close. With me, she's always so closed off and defiant. She won't listen to me and always says, "Daddy lets me, Daddy doesn't make me go to church, Daddy lets me go outside." Clearly she wants her dad. So she can have him. I'm tired of being a mother to a girl who doesn't appreciate me. I'm tired of having an ex who clearly wants me out of the way. I'm terminating my parental rights tomorrow and I'm leaving. I asked my job to transfer me and they are transferring me out of state. I found an apartment I can afford in the new place. Part of the agreement is I won't have to pay child support provided I agree never to contact her while she's a minor. They don't have to worry about that. It'll be nice to get away. I hope someday I can have the family I deserve. I know everyone will say I'm a horrible person for abandoning my kid, but she doesn't want me, and why should I care about her when she doesn't care about me? If she wants her horrible, selfish, shallow dad, then she can have them and I can move on with my life. I'm tired of raising someone else's brat. ETA, I'm getting too many comments. I'm not going to read them all. I don't care if you think this is fake. I typically read stuff on Reddit. I've never posted or commented before. I don't care what other people think of me. But to answer one question, one of the reasons for the restraining order is that my dad physically assaulted him when my ex told him to his face he wasn't marrying me. They can't see her because my brother lives with my parents and is a felon who can't be around children, and my ex had evidence that they've helped my brother violate that condition of parole in the past. It was only so he could see his kids. Because of that, he was able to get a restraining order that lasted 5 years. It's not there anymore, but my parents have given up. I'm driving back so I can sign the papers tomorrow. I may respond if anyone has anything meaningful to say. My new boss doesn't like how much holiday I'm taking and has reported me to HR. Reposted from mildly infuriating. Greater than 65k updates, and it was deleted, presumably because nobody gets 31 days of holiday. When I originally posted this, I'd taken 11 days of annual leave this year so far. Nothing unusual, did pretty much the same last year and my boss was fine with it. However, new year, new boss, and she seems to be offended that I've dared to take so much time off. I won't share screenshots of the emails for obvious reasons, but our conversation was as follows. My boss, hi SML, I notice you've taken a lot of PTO recently. I've approved this for now, but when you are back we need to discuss why you are taking so much time off. Thanks, boss. Me, hi boss, this is nothing new and I have done this every year. I tend to use up some annual leave in the first few months of the year, and then some more in the last few months of the year. Please let me know if you are unhappy with this. Kind regards, SML. Boss, how much PTO do you have? Me, I assume you mean annual leave? I have the company standard 31 days, plus an extra 3 days as negotiated in my contract. I also have 4 days carried over from last year. As of March 31st, 25, I will have 27 days left for the year. I plan on taking 11 days in August, 8 days in December, and the remaining 8 days as and when needed. Boss, that seems excessive. We don't have that much PTO, so I'm unsure where your numbers are coming from. I have referred this to HR because I think this isn't right. Me, okay, fine. I was due to come back on Wednesday, please put me on leave for the rest of this week. If HR agree my holiday terms are correct, I expect the extra 3 days to be gratis. Boss, I don't know what you mean, but fine, I'll see you on Monday morning. I then spoke to HR, we had a polite conversation, as when I joined this company we negotiated a salary match but an extra 3 days of holiday. HR were pretty unimpressed that they were going to be getting a report, and told me SML, enjoy the week off. Wish I had a boss who'd give me free holiday like that. The boss herself is located overseas and has absolutely no idea about employee rights. When I spoke to my colleagues, letting them know I'd be off for the rest of the week, one of them told me that the same boss also referred a friend of hers to HR because she wanted to take her full 52 weeks of maternity leave in one go. Again, apparently that wasn't acceptable, to which HR said nope, she's good to go, see you in a year. Bring baby photos. Edit update, the 3 gratis days weren't best explained. I cut that out of my original post to save space, but I realize it doesn't make sense without the extra paragraph. I had told my boss to expect me to take an extra 3 days of annual leave, but I confirmed during my time off. This was agreed well before the situation in my topic. However, having been bothered multiple times during my time off, i.e. off work, off the radar, were allowed to switch off from work when on annual leave, having been disturbed with missed work calls, emails, WhatsApps, and Teams messages, I pushed a bit to get a few extra days off. Worst case scenario, they'd come out of my annual leave. Best case scenario, they'd be free. We're now coming up to halfway through the year and I'm just finishing a week off in May. I've got 22 days left for the rest of the year. 19 days taken so far. The 3 extra days were given for free and this boss has been avoiding me, not sure why. I'm exhausted, and now I feel like I'm the villain in my own home. I'm 34M, a self-taught, self-employed programmer. I built an ERP system for small and medium businesses from the ground up. Never went to college until last year, when I decided to enroll in a bachelor's program. It wasn't easy. I'm a father to a 5-year-old, and adding school to the mix took away even more of the time I already didn't have. But I did it because I thought it would be good for all of us in the long run. Earlier this year, work got brutal. New tax laws came in, and I had to work day and night to make my software compliant. I was exhausted, missing sleep, meals, and moments with my kid. I kept telling myself it was just a rough patch, that it would pass, and that I was doing all of it for my family. Then, a few weeks ago, my wife, 30F, exploded on me. She said I was suffocating her. That I was holding her back from her dreams. She wants to get a master's degree, she's a teacher. That I hadn't done anything to support her. That gutted me. I didn't even know what to say. I pay all our bills. Her paycheck barely covers her own expenses, and I often help her out when she overspends. She buys herself and our daughter new things all the time while I wear the same old stuff. I haven't indulged in anything for myself in ages. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought she'd be proud of me. I used to be proud of myself. But now all I feel is broken. It's been weeks, and I can't stop thinking about what she said. I feel like everything I've done just doesn't matter. I'm tired. I feel alone. And I don't know how to fix this. P.S. I'm not a native English speaker. I used some AI to beautify my writing, sorry for that. Edit, just to give some context about our daily routine. My wife usually wakes up around 6 a.m. since she starts work at 7:30. Although she has a degree in math, she currently works at a daycare for young children. I usually get up around 8 a.m. and make breakfast for myself and our daughter. Around 9:30 a.m., my mother-in-law arrives to watch our daughter, and I head off to work. We usually all get home around noon. I help my mother-in-law with lunch while my wife helps our daughter get changed. After lunch, my wife returns to work, and I drive our daughter to school. Once I'm back home, I clean up the kitchen, my ML helps a lot, and then I go back to work. My wife finishes earlier around 5 p.m. while I finish at 6 p.m. But instead of going home, she usually picks up our daughter from school and brings her to my workplace. Most days, she drops our daughter off with me, tells me she's exhausted, and lies down on the sofa in the break area, scrolling on her phone. Around 6 p.m., she heads home with our daughter. I keep working until about 7 p.m., then go home and make dinner. My wife doesn't enjoy cooking, so I usually handle that. She does the dishes afterward. We spend a little time together until 10 p.m., when she and our daughter go to sleep. I then return to work and usually stay up until 2 a.m. And that's pretty much every day. Edit 2, it's been a month since she said those things. Since then, my workload has only increased. I'm drowning in responsibilities trying to keep my business afloat. I ended up putting my bachelor's program on hold because I just couldn't manage it all anymore. Meanwhile, she went ahead and enrolled in her master's program. Edit 3, just to clarify, my bachelor's was a distance learning program. I always try to make it work without affecting our family time too much. I used to study confined in my workplace, making sure I was home every night for dinner. I never let them eat alone. Most of my studying and extra work happened late at night, while she and our daughter were already asleep.